Today's video is sponsored by Holyland Technology Company, which provides professional wireless audio and video transmission system. When it comes to creating videos, I believe that sound quality is as important as image quality. For the first time in my life, I've been making YouTube videos consistently for over a year, and I was just thinking about investing in sound-related equipment. I never owned a transmitter microphone and always had an external microphone, so my face needed to be super close to the camera all the time, and it's always terrible when the place is noisy or windy. Then a person from Holyland Technology Company contacted me and sent me this product called Lark 150 to help me improve the sound quality on my future videos. Honestly, it was such great timing. So let me tell you about some of the features of Lark 150. The first thing that I noticed was that although there are two transmitters in the receiver, I only saw one charging cable, but I found out that this black box is a magnetic charging case, so every time you put the microphone back inside, it turns off automatically and starts charging. And when you take these out, they automatically turn on and are ready to be used, which I thought was very convenient. As you can see, the case is small and light, so that I wouldn't mind carrying it with me whenever I'm outside filming, which is a big thumbs up for a minimalist like myself. There are two square transmitters inside, so this product is ideal for interviews, vlogs, and live streaming videos that involve two people. Or if you are a loner who makes videos by himself most of the time, then you can use one transmitter at a time and let the other one be charged and ready to be used when one of them runs out of battery. Like I mentioned briefly, vlogging outside can be quite difficult when there's so much noise around you, and I've faced so many difficulties where I was speaking to the camera outside, and when I was editing the footage, I couldn't hear what I was saying because it was too windy and I ended up reshooting or the entire video was simply ruined. But Lark 150 can solve my issue because there are two pairs of furry windshields and lavalier microphones that come with the product, so that the outside noise can be filtered out when recording in public. One of the best features about this product is that the maximum range is up to 100 meters, so I can put a camera a bit far from me and the sound is still clear, which may sound normal to you, but for someone like myself, who has been speaking into the camera as close as possible for many years, this is a game changer. So I'm going to try using only Lark 150 for sound to make this video. I hope you enjoy watching this. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. I believe a lot of us desire to feel happy or fulfilled in life. Although the goal here is crystal clear, it seems that a lot of people struggle to be happy with themselves. It feels as though they are always looking for the next goal, purpose, and not necessarily satisfied with what they already have in life, and hoping that they will be happy one day. I used to heavily focus on achieving goals because growing up in Japan, whenever I achieved something, whether it was about getting high scores in school exams or winning football matches against others, I would always get praised and be congratulated by my family and friends around me. So I naturally believed that happiness was about achieving goals and getting recognized and praised by others. In a way, this perspective led me to believe that I was worthless if I wasn't doing something amazing or improving myself consistently to impress others. So I spent my teenage years and early 20s focusing on creating goals and achieving them without taking a break. I must admit to you that I always loved self-help content, and I ended up consuming a lot of motivational videos telling me that I should feel amazing for working hard 24/7 even when everybody else isn't, and I subconsciously compared myself to others, which wasn't a positive thing. I say this because I used to often wonder why people around me didn't take life as serious as I was, and I thought that I was better than others just because I believed that I was living my life as if it were my last day every day. Which I think about it now and understand that a lot of my perspectives when I was younger were just too extreme, naive, privileged and ignorant. I'm just grateful for the fact that I had supportive people and experiences that helped me grow out of my young perspectives. But don't get me wrong, self-help content can be positive for a lot of people to live the way they would like, but it can also work negatively depending on how we look at it. For example, having a car is very convenient and cars have improved our lives significantly. However, some people depend on driving so much that they don't even walk for 5 minutes to get to the nearest convenience store because they would rather use their cars to get there, which can be negative for their physical health in the long term. So driving a car can be positive or negative depending on how we use it. Sorry, I went off track, but due to my negative way of using self-help content as well as my extreme perspectives on life, I put too much pressure on myself, which was making me feel anxious, worried, and stressed about living life. But at the time, I urged myself to consistently work on something or develop myself because I believed that it was the only way to become truly happy and fulfilled in life. This changed in my early 20s after I started working for a company because I noticed myself feeling empty on the inside no matter how many goals I achieved or how many physical items that I purchased. The things you own end up owning you. It's only after you lose everything that you're free to do anything. The trendy clothes that I bought, the promotion that I received, everything that I thought were required to make me happy was actually making me unhappy because I always felt like I wasn't enough and I could always achieve more and purchase more. At one point, I was like, when am I gonna ever feel enough if I keep living like this? It's quite obvious, but I wasn't having fun most of the time. I really wanted to change how I was living, so I read books and sought ways to experience my life from different perspectives. And there were a lot of suggestions which discussed that we should enjoy small things in life for our happiness and fulfillment. Through doing research on this, I eventually defined what enjoying small things in life means to me. As for me, it is that happiness and fulfillment come from being in the present and noticing how lucky I am to be able to do things that I might easily take for granted if I don't look close enough. Achieving goals and improving yourself gives you confidence so that when experiencing hard times in life, you can look at your situation to your advantage and are able to control your emotions and deal with it. But I think this doesn't give you happiness and fulfillment because as human beings, it's natural to feel that we want to challenge more and create more goals in life. This means that we don't even take time to stop and appreciate what we have accomplished if our perspective is that we can be happy if we achieve more things. This is why I believe that long-term happiness and fulfillment come from being in the present and finding small things that we get to enjoy and feel appreciative of on a daily basis. Let me give you 2 examples of how I enjoy small things in life. 1. Not having a blocked nose. If this made you laugh, then it's understandable because many people have a normal nose and are able to breathe without any problems. But I've been allergic to dust and pollen since I was young, and my nose gets runny and blocked throughout a year. In life, things like my family, friends, jobs, and my possessions are never consistent, and they come and go or leave me eventually. But for me, breathing is the only thing that has always been with me since the day I was born, and will always be there with me until the day I die. However, breathing, the only thing that should have been consistent in my life, has never been consistent, unfortunately. I had been using nasal sprays to decongest my nose for many years, and I became addicted to it and couldn't live without it. I had been purchasing nasal sprays from a particular brand, but about a few months ago, it was announced to be discontinued, and I was fine at first because I had the stock, but it ran out eventually. So I started trying other brands' nasal sprays, and it turned out that they weren't effective. In fact, they were making my nose worse than ever before somehow. I ended up waking up in the middle of the night, and it started affecting my life negatively. like I couldn't focus on doing work, for example. It turned out that any other nasal sprays besides the discontinued one didn't work, so I decided not to use it anymore because I thought either way my nose would be absolutely terrible, and that's how my rehabilitation began. On the first day without using a nasal spray, it was bad and I couldn't breathe properly for the entire day, and obviously I couldn't sleep properly. But the second day, it became better and the days went on, and although my nose wasn't perfect, I could breathe more and sleep like a normal person without using a nasal spray several times in a day for the first time in my life. It's been a few weeks and I'm able to function without a nasal spray, and I can sleep properly without having to wake up in the middle of the night to decongest my nose, which is a huge improvement. I understand that being able to breathe is something that we automatically do on a daily basis, but for a person like myself who experienced having a nose that restricted me from breathing properly for many years, the appreciation that I have towards the fact that I'm able to breathe properly is indescribable with words. 2. Being able to talk and express myself. Ever since I could remember, I was speaking Japanese as if it was meant to be. I don't remember struggling to learn the language, so I never thought that talking to people was hard, and I never appreciated the fact that I was able to talk to others in Japanese. But at the age of 14, I fell in love with learning English, and speaking to someone in another language gave me this whole new level of excitement that I had never felt in my life before. At the age of 15, all I could think about was becoming fluent in speaking English, so I decided to study abroad in New Zealand. I was so confident that my English was good enough to communicate with people in New Zealand, but that confidence was completely destroyed on my first day at school. Because of my unnatural English and thick Japanese accent at the time, every time I tried to say something, other people responded with, "Pardon? I'm sorry, what? Can you repeat that?" It was as if I became the air. It was like I physically existed, but no one could see my existence. It felt like I was invisible in other people's eyes. For the first time in my life, I found communicating with people extremely challenging and difficult, which I never imagined when I was speaking Japanese. At the same time, I learned that being able to express yourself to others effortlessly by speaking a language is an art, and I began learning English as much as I could, hoping that one day I will be able to speak English like how I speak Japanese. After spending 80 years of my life in New Zealand, I came back to Japan and began my new journey in my home country. It's been a year since I began living in Japan, and looking back on it, I believe I was always trying to move forward and improve myself to a point that stressed me out about living life. After I came back to Japan and started living by myself, I finally discovered the importance of being in the present rather than always thinking about my future. About a few months ago, I met Anna and we started hanging out on weekends. We go to places to eat, do sightseeing, and we stay at home whenever we feel like it. A lot of things that we do might be perceived as ordinary by others, but I now understand that being able to experience the ordinary is the ultimate happiness for me. The more time I spend with her, the more grateful that I become that I'm able to do what I always dreamed of since the age of 15 when I left Japan. All I wanted was to effortlessly talk to someone that I really like, maybe with a cup of coffee or delicious food in my mouth, which tends to be perceived as ordinary in society, but for me, the ordinary was what I always dreamed of and wanted, which took me 25 years to finally realize. But as my best friend Bradley Hagan puts it this way, good things always take time to come true. All of us understand the feeling of wanting more, achieving more, and doing more in our fast-paced world. The thought of trying to improve things that we already have in life has led humans in their lives to quickly evolve, and in comparison to the old era, there is no doubt that things are becoming more convenient than ever before. Although there's nothing wrong with having the thought of wanting more or improving something that we already have in life, I believe it can be dangerous if you think that you can only become happy when you achieve your goals in life. It's because we are so good at creating more and more goals, and once we achieve something, we create another one, and it keeps going like this, it never stops. This is what I got trapped in, which was the goal-oriented life, where I focused solely on creating goals to achieve consistently. And though I improved a lot by this cycle, somehow I couldn't feel happy or fulfilled. But at the age of 25, I finally noticed that happiness and fulfillment come to me when I start appreciating what I have, rather than focusing on my future goals. I believe this attitude comes from challenging yourself by making things that you think you always take for granted hard to do. Then you start appreciating what you already have or can do in life. I was just fortunate enough to experience having a blocked nose for many years and not being able to communicate with people in English for several years, because these experiences allow me to appreciate that just being able to live life without these struggles is so precious and wonderful. This is how I enjoy small things in my life. They're ordinary, but the beauty of life is discovered within ordinary things that I might easily miss or take for granted if I don't look at them closely within myself. That's the end of the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed this topic. If you like this video, please give this video a thumbs up, because when you hit the like button, the YouTube algorithm helps my channel grow and reach people who are interested in the topics that I discuss on my channel. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider subscribing, and I will keep striving to create videos that are worth your time. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!